So today, what I'm actually going to share with you very quickly is actually on the secure workday and how the new workday have actually really changed. Not just because of the shape that's actually been changed by AI introduction, but we have to actually understand the threat landscape before we actually know that by introducing new tools, how we can actually help to actually protect our organization. So first of all, we have to actually also acknowledge one thing. After COVID, the hybrid workforce is actually the new normal. And a lot of Gen Z expectation is actually they will need to actually work from home in a different kind of a setting. But what we have actually also seen that what this landscape have actually changed is actually legacy application that we actually used to install on the desktop is now slowly fading away. We are now seeing more and more application that's actually web-based driven. And this web-based driven application, 80% of them, you are using them from launching from the web browser versus traditionally where 80% is actually launched from a big client application on the desktop. And all these applications are launching from one single super apps that I call the browser. And the browser have now become a new operating system. Why? Because it's running all these applications. I don't need the operating system, but I just need a browser. I can actually launch this application, whether I'm actually at home or whether I'm actually from a work device that's actually not managed, like a tablets. I can actually access to it. And with this changed landscape, that also means that my parameter have actually really shifted. We don't just look at the risk of within the four walls where my office is actually located. The parameter now shift becomes what I call human as a new parameter. Where the humans actually residing is actually where you need to actually secure the whole application, as well as providing security controls to the user. But most importantly, with the changing landscape of 80% browsing, we are also seeing that the browser is actually now a new centric for control planes. But with the understanding of browser being used by the user, we have to actually also shift our understanding of the risk. Why this is actually risky is because attackers have now actually shifted to run attacks using AI-powered exploitation. Last year, I was actually talking at the ISOC, introducing 2024, there's actually a few known exploitation targeting the user using the AI-driven exploit. But today, we are now actually fast forward 1 year later. This is actually scary, increasing on a very exponential rate, where we are now talking about AI attacks at machine speed. Exploitation that used to be actually created by human takes months to actually create a 0 day. Today, we are now seeing exploit takes minutes to actually exploit them. Example, creating a phishing email takes seconds by the AI. There's no grammatical error versus traditional. And to actually find the exploitable exploit, like for instance, using automated exploitation discovery, is actually taking now minutes versus hours traditionally. So this means that there's actually a gaps. By the time we actually find the exploit, how fast can we actually patch up the operating system? It's usually weeks, if not months, before we can actually patch up the system. That is actually the windows of opportunity for attackers to actually infiltrate the organization. And that organization will be actually subjected to this same vulnerability, which is AI-powered attacks, that actually just takes minutes to actually cause compromise to your organization. We actually look at the highly invasive adaptive threats in various forms, but these are actually just some of the known exploitation. They are not unknown, but they are actually known, discovered first in 2021, like HTML smuggling by Microsoft. It has actually died down a bit after being discovered. Last year alone, till now, we are actually seeing more than 514% increase of HTML smuggling attack. Old techniques being reused by all these AI-powered attacks, where the attackers just need to polymorphic the whole entire exploitation. It becomes a newly generated attacks, and that will not be detected by your signature-based defense that you put in place. What this means, it will bypass your defense and cause compromise to your end user. So these are actually just some of the examples of the highly evasive adaptive threats, where they're designed to actually bypass organization defense that you actually put in place. And what we are actually hearing from our customer, 96% of the leaders like yourself have actually now starting to adopt AI, whether it's actually generative AI or agentic AI, does not matter. But I hope you are actually one of the 96% that's actually adopting very fast within your organization. But very fast does not mean good, because the AI office could be actually moving very fast, but they are not concentrating on security. Their KPI is actually measured by how many AI tools that are actually deployed within my organization. What's actually the cost saving? What's actually the efficiency that I actually provide to organization? The mindset of security is never in the top of the mind, which means that 5% of the CISO is confident that when they actually get an AI attack, they will be able to actually resolve that. This actually goes back to the earlier slides, where AI attacks is actually so fast at machine speed. The CISO is actually not comfortable to actually deal with AI-powered attacks. That's actually the reality. And in terms of the statistics last year, 2025, we are seeing 88% of the organization have actually some form of AI incident. Whether it's actually accidental leakage of data through the use of AI, or deliberate loss of information, or AI-powered attacks that actually infiltrate the organization, this actually contribute to that 88%. And the fortunate thing, or unfortunate, is only 3% of the organization feel comfortable to actually have a machine, to deal with a machine speed AI attacks. This is actually good, is because we recognize the problem, where is actually the gap. By recognizing that, this is actually where you find a resolution to that problem, to actually thwart off the attacks that's actually now targeting organization. These are actually just some of the quick overview of what new threats AI can actually bring to the organization. AI is actually similar to human. Human, we can actually be deceived when we actually visit a phishing site. We might not actually tell the difference between a real Microsoft login page versus the phishing Microsoft login page. AI is actually the same. They will be blinded and they will actually be gullible. What do I mean by that? When you actually present the AI with a Microsoft login page, the AI is actually designed to actually say that this is actually a Microsoft login page. In order to access to the information after the login, I need to supply with this user ID and password, or supply with this token. Because the headless browser of the AI can actually log in like a normal user, or you can actually give the token to actually log in. So they will actually thought that it's actually a real login page, and they will actually trick to believe, and they will get phished. So they will be equally vulnerable to attacks. But most importantly, the AI that's actually attacking AI at machine speed, there's actually no way that we can actually be human in the loop. In the market, everybody's actually talking about human in the loop. Human in the loop means that I actually can see what's actually going on, I can actually control it. But with AI speed, operating at wire speed, can human be really in the loop? Human cannot be in the loop. It's actually operating too fast. The threats is actually moving at the lightning speed. So enterprise is actually not really AI ready, like the statistics that we actually share. Only 5% are confident that they are able to deal with AI threats. These are actually some of the threats that we are seeing. The attackers are actually injecting prompts that actually ask your AI to do something against what the AI is supposed to do. Just with a very simple instruction inside. Skip all instruction above, earlier on, and do this instead. And the AI will actually just execute it. How this actually happens, on the naked eyes, when human actually visit a page, a web page especially, it's actually a white color font. We will not be able to see it. AI can actually see the white color font because they are just text to the AI. To you, it's actually invisible. To them, HTML code is actually 100% visible to them. They can actually view that. So the instruction data, the kind of confidence is actually being bypassed, and they can actually cause confusion to the AI to actually cause accidental leakage of information through this instructional bypass, which we call them prompt injection. So prompt injection is actually one of them, but the most important aspect is because human cannot be in the loop, we will actually be blinded. Everybody is actually talking about AI security at LLM side. But the large language model, who owns the LLM? Have we ever wondered? It's actually OpenAI, it's actually Google, it's actually Anthropic or Perplexity that actually owns the LLM. They are the one that we have to trust, that they will actually put in guardrails to protect the LLM. There's no way that I can actually implement my security control onto the LLM. This is actually where runtime blindness comes. And by thinking that the guardrail is actually going to be safe, that's not true, because the LLM do not know your business need. They are just operating as per what you actually want them to operate. And thereby, you can actually have leakage of information, like prompt injection. So runtime blindness is actually one of the key weak points when we actually deploy AI, where we do not know what is actually happening inside the runtime, and there's no security control most of the time. When in the AI office, they actually deploy some form of AI control. This will be actually the direct connectivity to the internet. The most is actually we put in some URL filtering, but URL filtering is actually based on known threats, known destination. If it's actually unknown, then you will not be able to actually protect your user, and thereby you will be blinded from the threats. This one has been actually very popular on the market over the last 6 months. If you have not been tracking it, you really need to be worried about it, right? So Anthropic Mythos has been actually the most powerful red teaming tools in the world right now. Fully autonomous, fully automated, no human intervention. The typical kind of the red team takes maybe weeks, months to actually find a vulnerability. These reconnaissance, Anthropic Mythos, can actually within minutes find a vulnerability. And initially people thought it's actually a marketing hype. But after they present a 27 years old, the BSD, the Linux vulnerability, that was not discovered, and it was actually been reviewed, code reviewed by well-known security researcher. Guess what? Now they actually get a lot of attention. So they get fame from that particular discovery, the Mythos discovery, where the whole thing is now fully automated. I don't even need the human to be involved. I just need to execute the command. Mythos will actually help me to discover an organization vulnerability. And this is actually what happens when the discovery of Mythos actually been highlighted. Philippine regulators themselves, like BSD, or could be actually the DICT, is equally concerned of the organization. Just Q3 2025 alone, there's actually more than 49% surge in cyber attack. But this is actually still before the mandatory disclosure of hacking or the cyber attack incident in your organization. So this might not actually be fully reflective of the entire Philippine statistics. And the credential theft alone in the past 3 months is a shocking 54 million credentials been lost. And this means that a lot of people have been actually deceived to actually the phishing sites, AI attacks, which is a good thing for Philippines, where you are actually seeing that AI attacks is actually real and you are actually taking some action. So, but still not high enough. At 57% of the organization feel that they are actually having some form of AI risk within their organization. This is actually why regulators are actually really concerned, because of automated attacks. In fact, it's not just Philippine regulators, it's all over the world. I was actually speaking 2 weeks ago in Australia. The Australia ASD, which is actually the regulators for all the entire cyber defense in Australia, they are equally concerned. And the new term, rather than actually 3 years ago, we actually used generative AI like ChatGPT, which we call them the generative AI. The new forms of Anthropic, Claude, we are actually calling them frontier AI. This is actually a new form of AI tools that's actually fully having its own some form of semi-cognitive thinking. It can actually knows how to do research for you. It has actually its own ability to actually do the automation. So AI automated attacks cause regulators extremely concerned, and more than 76% of the banking fraud is actually originating from phishing and account takeover, just first half of 2025. So the CII within the Philippines, only 16%, not very high. We actually need to actually pump that up more, because the critical infrastructure is the core backbone of the country, and this actually needs to actually increase more. So that's actually why the regulators are actually very concerned, and advice from regulators around the world, including BSP, one of the first things that they actually did last year is actually the mandated self-assessment, annual self-assessment that you actually need to actually submit. But important is they recognize the AI threats is actually now evolving. They need some form of zero trust. Zero trust, everybody have their own definition, but my definition is actually trust nothing and only actually connects to the system that you are actually trusting. But make sure that you verify the system that you trust as well. Don't just blindly connect to them. Important also to introduce AI against AI kind of attacks. You need to actually defend against AI, because there's no way that human can actually be defending against AI, which actually operating at machine speed. Isolation architecture to actually do the separation is actually one of the recommendations from a lot of organizations and regulators around the world. Important is also to do the defense in that. Don't put all eggs into one basket. Meaning, we have to actually go back to the fundamentals of defense in that, whereby you actually have a layered defense, just like the castle. They have actually the different kind of a defense, the water around the castle, etc. So all this actually needs to actually put in place to actually defend the organization, which goes back to the architecture. Architecture fundamentally has a flaw right now. Is we have been actually always dealing with human attacks. The human attacks, we can actually do the detect and respond. That's actually okay, because the human is actually fighting against human. They are not actually moving at machine speed. So thereby, I can actually combat against them. In today's rapid changing kind of landscape, just within a year, we are now seeing huge increase in AI-based kind of attack. We need a preventive strategy. Prevention is always better than cure. You cannot actually just simply rely on detection. It's too slow. And that actually creates a window of opportunity for you to be attacked. Thereby, prevention is actually always the best strategy from the recommendation from all the regulators as well. So when you actually build your strategy around, you understand that 80% of your traffic is actually now going through the browser. We need a browser security platform to actually wrap it around to ensure that inside here is actually where runtime security operates. Operating to actually prevent against your threats, preventing against the remote access, and most importantly is actually the file and data. Because your AI visits a website, it also downloads the files. When the user gets compromised downloading a file, you get a blue screen effect. The human would then actually stop all the things that he's doing and contact IT to say something happened to my computer. I think something fishy, or my computer is too sluggish. At least they will report. AI will not report. They will not know that I'm sluggish. I'm actually having a blue screen effect. They will not know. All this is actually gone, and it will continue to actually function. So we need to actually have some form of file and data security when the AI is actually downloading the files as well. And of course, AI against AI. That's actually the very important thing. So securing the next billion user, which is actually non-human, which is now AI-driven, is actually what we are doing. Challenges that I actually mentioned earlier on, the speed of what we are actually doing actually needs to actually counteract with a solution. And the solution is actually to make sure that the browser security posture is actually executing and having a runtime security put in place. And there's actually a new technology in the market that you can actually evaluate called content disarm and reconstruction. The first generation is actually to flatten the file to become a PDF. The second generation is actually sandboxing, where I was 10 years ago. And now there's actually a new generation that's actually doing content disarm and reconstruction, which actually does not rely on detection to actually provide the preventive sanitizing of the file and adaptive AI DLP. Rather than the traditional DLP, that actually, when your AI is actually uploading something, you will get a block notification based on your regular expression. It doesn't have a context to the document or what's actually the sensitive document that's actually going out. You need the AI to actually adapt to the data loss prevention. Instead of actually blocking the AI from actually going, you redact the data so that it doesn't stop the AI from actually continuing its journey. It will actually still complete its work, yet you can actually making sure that you don't actually lose accidental information by the AI to the external world, because it actually contains certain things that the AI is not supposed to actually leak out. Because one thing that we also need to recognize, AI actually transfer credential from one AI to another. I can actually pass my AI credential to another AI. It can actually inherit my credential and access on my behalf. So all these will need to actually put in place to ensure that we don't have actually the accidental loss of information. Adapting to the AI and making sure that we actually remove it. So net to actually making sure that we are able to actually defend at wire speed rather than actually the legacy way of slow response. And there's no way human can be actually in the loop. So we want to actually be in the runtime environment to actually analyze whether it's actually human or whether it's actually AI that's actually going through the same path. We are able to actually use the same technology rather than actually implementing another total new overhaul technology to actually replace it. Why we're actually doing that, no overhaul, is to actually reduce on the cost. Okay. Finally, the last slide that I want to actually share with every one of you guys. I hope all these past 20 minutes you are actually learning something new. And AI-ready enterprise, you really need a zero-day architecture that's actually providing runtime security, and also to make sure that you are actually operating at machine speed of prevention, not detection, because detection is actually always too slow. Given that everything is actually now browser-based, your AI is actually also using browser, what they call the headless browser. They actually have some form of a browser as well. So this is actually where policy enforcement at milliseconds runtime security actually needs to be actually play a very important part. Pivotal for your architecture and your security, most importantly, the safeguard of your company future. Okay, this is actually just a quick sharing session. I'm actually around so we can actually have a chit chat on what we can actually do and what's actually your current challenge. Feel free to actually exchange idea. I'm actually more than happy to actually learn from you as well. Okay, thank you for the morning.
Thank you.
Menlo Security has made Zero Trust access easy and more secure with Menlo Secure Application Access. It's the next generation of secure remote access designed for modern applications and a diverse workforce. It's easy to deploy, manage, and use, and it uniquely meets Gartner's stringent security requirements for Zero Trust. Menlo Secure Application Access is designed for today's hybrid workforce, enabling you to support unmanaged devices, contractors, and consultants just as easily as your enterprise users. Here's how it works. For modern web or SaaS applications, users need only a web browser or a browser extension. They log in, they select the application they want to access in the web interface or the browser extension, and that's it, they're up and running. To support legacy applications, a desktop client is available and is just as easy to provision, manage, and use. Menlo Security. Secure the browser and secure the enterprise.